Hello everyone, I'm Pranali. Welcome back to another podcast by Grow Junction. Today we have with us Mr. Diptimaya Sarangi. We welcome you, Diptimaya. Please, you can introduce yourself.
Hey, thanks, Pranali. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of your podcast series. I am Diptimaya, and I work with Flipkart within their brand ads business unit. Currently, I have a designation of manager within the brand ads job function. Do you want me to go about with my roles and responsibilities right now, or we can go ahead later on?
Yeah, we can go ahead later on. So
Okay,
let us
good.
now know can you tell us more about the brand management role? How is it? How is the working?
Okay. The brand management role is something which is one of the very core or coveted disciplines within the broader, marketing domain. And brand management as a role is something which majorly entails four kind of sub roles or four kinds of responsibilities. Number one, of course, is so you'll be the custodian of a brand, okay, and you have to make sure that whatever you do is aligned in a way that the brand is growing. And when you say the brand is growing, number one, you want to project a certain image of the brand that needs to be in line with what exactly you want to for the brand. What is it that you have planned as per your strategy for the brand? That is number one. And at the same point of time, you have to make sure that yes, if the brand is if there is a certain image associated with it, it all should end up to give the brand a certain amount of business or certain amount of market share in the category that the brand is working in. So there are actually four sub functions or four sub roles which are part of the brand management role. One is the communication strategy, which basically means that, okay, how do you want to communicate with your TG or your target group? Do you want to use a certain tonality which you think will reflect well with a young audience, or if your target group is a little mature or very highly evolved or slightly more aged, you want to have a little more dignified way of communicating with them. So those are basically your communication strategies. And exactly how do you want to convince your TG to look at you or to consider you? So that is something that it falls within the role of communication strategist. Then you have something known as media planning. So fine, you've built a certain communication, but then at the same point of time, to actually be able to share that communication with your target audience, you need to select the right kind of media, right? Today you have a digital media universe with players like Facebook, Google, normal, Google ads across the vast internet universe. Then you have all of the e-commerce giants like Flipkart, Amazon, Meesho, Paytm, Nika, which all have their own solutions for providing showcasing ads of different brands. So that, and of course YouTube. So all of those are different players who will be able to help you deliver your communication, your message through internet media. Then again, you have the traditional media, which basically is your print, television, out of home, radio, all of these. So how do you exactly plan your media spends? Where to spend, when to spend, how to spend, which kind of target groups need to be specifically looked after when you're creating a media plan. So one is of course communication planning and communication strategy, and the other is your media plan and your media strategy. So these are the two very important things. Media is specifically very, very crucial because media is that one area which has one of the highest expenditure that a brand makes. So the necessity that you plan your media very, very accurately, plan your media spends very accurately, is a very, very strong and very responsible role. Something that entails a lot of responsibility. Then again, there is something known as product planning and product development. Suppose you're the brand manager for maybe a footwear brand, right? Say you're the brand manager for a brand like Nike or an Adidas or any new brand. Okay. So you've got to make sure that if you have to be the voice of the customer, right? So if the customer, you've done multiple kinds of researches, market researches, customer emotion researches, and you've known by and large that what exactly is your customer, what is your target group, target audience looking out for. If they are specifically looking out for something which is sporty, but at the same time very 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 performance oriented, and the looks of it should be very colorful or vibrant or so on and so forth, or something which really the great celebrities endorse. So accordingly, you have to make sure that the products that you create have to be in line with that, have to be in line with what your customers or what your competitors are doing, right? So product planning is a very very crucial role. You as a brand manager will be the voice of the customer and will give the kind of inputs that are necessary for the larger product development team to work on. So while you will give them specifications and you will give them broad kind of inputs, but ultimately there's a specific product team which will actually put all of those inputs together and build the next product which you'll go and take to the market, right? And then so these are the three roles, and the fourth role of course is the role of somebody who will make sure that the business numbers which are tied to a particular brand, they are happening. And if they are not happening, suppose you're the brand manager for Sunsilk, or you're Nestle Maggie, you've done the communication bit right, you've done the media planning bit right, you've made sure the right kind of inputs are being passed on to the product team to make sure that the product planning and product development is right, then why aren't the business numbers which are supposed to happen for Nestle Maggie every month, why aren't they happening? So you have to go deep, you have to ensure that okay, that particular KRA, because as long as a business is not bringing in revenues, the business is not sustainable, right? In the shorter term, you can maybe tell that okay, we are creating a market for the future, we are creating a product for the future which will take some time to take off. But as long as you don't get the coffers ringing with cash, nothing is going to stand the test of those board members, or not, nothing is going to stand the test of those markets. So right, so you have to make sure that if there is something that you can do to make sure that your product is actually able to sell well, that is something that you should do, which includes you also building the sales strategy. So within that sales part itself comes the part where you're building strategies for selling. So for instance, that okay, there is a certain attribute of my product which needs to be specifically talked about or told to the mothers. So to make sure that when your salespersons are selling it, they specifically set up booth, or they specifically set up a kiosk near vegetable shops where mothers or housewives tend to go, or near kirana stores where housewives or near stationery or cosmetic shop where the female person of the house might woman of the house might actually spend a good enough time every week or every weekend. So those kind of sales strategy inputs are also something that you can pass on basis, because you're the voice of the customer in the company. You know that okay, my TG is something like this, and my media spends are happening in such and such way. So if I'm able to actually optimize my sales strategy in a way that I'm reinforcing the same message in a one-to-one mode, or at the one-to-one mode with the right kind of audience, the chances for me actually being able to get the sale or get the market share that I'm trying to will be higher. So these are the four roles. I'll just recap it for everyone. Communication strategy, then you have media planning or media strategy, then you have product strategy or product planning or product development, and the fourth one is of course sales or sales strategy, the business side of it. Yeah. So this is basically the role of a business of a brand manager. To be able to be a brand manager, you need to actually have some amount of grasp on all four, or a good amount of grasp on one or three out of the four, whatever might be the situation that you are trying to go and grasp.
Surely that was very elaborative, and I'm pretty sure that the audience has actually understood the brand management role now. So and now I would like to ask you, like, what interests you about the role? Like, what that one exciting thing was there that pulled you to this role?
Okay. So my role, before answering that, I'll just explain to you what my role is. So my role currently is managing the brand ads spends of our different brands. So I work with Flipkart, as I've mentioned to you. Uh, Flipkart has a set of brands which are selling on the platform, right? And it's basically a democratic marketplace wherein anybody can come up and they would want to, expand their presence, would want to do business on Flipkart. So it's like the mall of the, it's like the modern version of a shopping mall. All right. It's only the only difference is that all of that action is happening in the online space, and with a very digitally or tech savvy medium. Now, if there are so many brands, how do they differentiate each other? They would differentiate each other by making sure that they are communicating more effectively with their target audience. And each brand, of course, stands for a certain, kind of certain functional benefits, such certain emotional benefits, certain attributes, certain reasons to believe, right? Every brand has some of those, different aspects attached to it. A Colgate will have a different aspect as compared to a Procter and Gamble, or maybe a Lee Cooper would have a different, all of these aspects as compared to, say, a Woodland or an Adidas, right? So to be able to help these brands break the clutter, because all of these platforms are very cluttered with a lot of brands. So how do brands break the clutter? They will have to look at their overall, marketing funnel. How aware are people about my brand? How much is my brand being considered actively when somebody is looking after is looking forward to buying from a specific category, be footwear, be watches, be soaps, or shaving cream, something like that. So how do you build that consideration within the target group? And how do you, and finally, bottom of the funnel, how do you make sure that, okay, my brand is actually the brand which is going on to get more sales than the rest of the competition brands, or I'm able to retain a certain market share within the platform, because these platforms like Flipkart or Amazon literally have kind of one fourth or one third of the country's digital population. So whatever is the country's digital population, one third or one fourth are there with all of these, giant e-commerce marketplaces. So my role there as a manager for brand ads is to make sure that brands are getting the solutions that they would want, the marketing solutions that they would want for optimizing for each of their, marketing objectives. So my role, how does it relate to a role of brand management? So my role has certain very key features which are very much similar to the role of a brand manager. So for instance, the part where I mentioned about media planning, right? A brand manager, an efficient brand manager needs to understand media very well and needs to plan for each media very, very well. So as a brand, as a market, as a, brand ads manager, I do media planning for all of my major brands, which I handle as part of my portfolio. So media planning is something looking at the entire marketing funnel, delivering brand solutions, which will help the brand communicate what it wants to communicate with the right audience, with the right targeting group, at the right point of time, during with the right kind of advertising mediums or advertising properties, and finally being able to track all of those spends and optimizing on each of those, because when you're marketing, basically spending a lot of money to buy specific media properties, right? So you need rupee, you're getting good revenues against it, or you're getting good returns, like people are viewing your ad, people are actually clicking on your ad. So all of those metrics are something that you will track your brand against. So when I look at my role and the role of the brand manager, which I just talked about, so the first two boxes, the box of the media planning, and to a certain extent the box of communication strategy, I do two of that. I do both of those. Media planning I do till the 100% extent, and communication strategy is something which for which I am not responsible, but for which I do send my recommendations, right? So these are the major points which I do. I do not, give inputs to the brands on the product part of it. So I do not look after product development or delivering product, product strategy related inputs. That is something that I don't do. But yes, now to come back to your question, and sorry for digressing a bit, but I thought it will be necessary to give everyone the right, answer that you would want to. So, what pulls me towards this role of brand management? So, I am a storyteller, and I'm a storyteller, and I am a media planner at heart. So, I am someone who actually loves looking at those key customer touch points where a customer would think of something in some way, uh, and would want to behave in a certain way, right? So if you look at e-commerce, or if you look at internet in general, what happens? You spend X amount of time every day, say 3-4 hours of your time on a social media website like Instagram, more than Facebook these days, and you would want to spend, and you do spend a lot of time on WhatsApp, and these different kinds of mediums. How, I mean, if you were shown an ad for a certain product, you would react in a certain way, right? So that very intrinsic thing about looking at customer behavior at different key touch points, and then deciding for a brand that what if they say, or what if they show to the customer at this point of time will get the customer really interested in considering the brand. That very core thought of looking at customers and how they behave, and then bringing those insights, because these are the insights only. You have data, you have multiple databases, or multiple reports which help you understand this, but at the same point of time, intuition is something that comes very naturally to me. I am someone who observes everyone around me, so, and I am myself a customer, right? I'm a customer, and I look at my wife, and I look at my sister, my mom, my dad, and my friends. How do they shop online, or how do they react to different kinds of, these are basically all your visual cues, or your audio visual cues. So how do they react to different visual cues? That is something that gets me really going, um, which actually feeds into the way I work. And that is why I really get pulled into a role of brand management, because if I'm getting into a role of brand management, or the role that I really get to learn from all of those things that I told you about customer behavior, about decoding them, getting these insights in my mind, and then building a strategy, communication strategy, or a media strategy, so that we are talking the right thing to the right customer in the right way at the right time, and getting the right results.
Makes sense. Like, really, this is really very informative for the audience. I feel they even got to know about your job role and the linkage with brand advertisement. So I think the audience is actually glued to the cameras right now, to the laptops. They're really enjoying the session. Yes. So further, I would like to know that, when entering a brand management role, any certifications that is required, or, some hands-on experience that will give them an add-on. What according to you is it?
Okay. So a wise man once told me that if you want to go from point A to point B, and if there's not a direct path from point A to point B, do digress, do go from point A to, say, point B1. If that is the only path available to you, and if somehow that path is going towards point B, your final destination, then again from point B1, just see which path is actually helping you reach point B. There might not be a direct path, so you might have to go from point B1 to B2. Then you have to go from B2 to, say, point B, which is your final destination, right? So I told you this because I have been through a journey where I was trying to crack into a role of a brand manager, or a brand ads manager, and I was not having something which actually was helping me go from that point A, which was my initial role, to that other point B role. So to bridge that gap, you can take up anything which helps you reach point B. anything, for instance, means I just told you the four, quadrants which a brand manager needs to tick. Communication strategy. So just think, if you are in a role, if you're in a consulting role, or say if you are in a pure play sales role, are you making collaterals, presentation decks? Are you making white papers, or are you making brochures, which are helping you talk about the distinct advantages that you as a brand bring onto the table for the customer? I'm sure if you're a territory sales manager, um, you would be doing something of that sort, right? I mean, I know when there are people who manage certain territories for certain brands, they get a certain marketing kitty allocated to their name, and they act as custodians along with a lot of other stakeholders to make sure that at that territory level, that marketing purse or that marketing budget is spent in the right way. And to actually spend, you will have to make sure that a right kind of a banner or a collateral or an out of home advertisement or a new local newspaper advertisement or a radio advertisement is made, right? So that is where your marketing acumen comes into the picture. That is where your communication strategy comes into the picture. Again, if I mention to you that you have to market, where will you market? You will either market on radio or television or local television. I'm sure like that level of marketing will be much smaller, or the extent of that would be much lesser than what the entire whole brand from its corporate purse would be spending. But even at that territory level, even with that limited budget, you will have certain amount of freedom or certain amount of discretion at your end to make sure that it is spent on the right kind of media, and the right communication message that you want to deliver to your target group is getting delivered. That is where comes the picture where, I mean, that basically you are ticking the two boxes of communication and media planning, right? If you're in a sales role, you of course know your numbers. You of course know what kind of sales strategy to be followed. If you're a sales manager, you can comment that, okay, who is my target audience, and if there is a certain target audience, how do we go about to them? If you're in a village, or if you're in a rural area or a suburban area trying to sell tractors, your message will be different as compared to what it will be if you are if you are at an urban city selling cars, right? So that is where the nuances of sales come in, and your convincing power as a salesperson, that comes in, and that teaches you the lesson, which again helps you crack the role of brand manager, right? Now, if you're into consulting, or if you're into data sciences or data analysis, or those data related streams, the benefit, or the virtues of storytelling, right? Because you'll be making pitches to clients. If you want to sell something, if you want to sell a solution, you'll be making different kinds of pitches to clients. That again is sales. If you're building a collateral, if you're building a go-to-market strategy deck, or if you're making a playbook of solutions, that showcases your communication aspect, acumen to a great extent. And again, if you've been a product manager, or if you're in a role where you're looking at certain kinds of product related developments, how you can make this product better, how you can make this solution better, you're again doing something which is related to product development, right? Product development or product pipeline, all of those kind of things. So make sure that whichever role you are doing, you highlight the parts, or you learn, or you build on the parts that you have done and which relate to the final role of brand management where you want to go into. So every role is a sum of small functions or small, parts. If you're able to ace each of those parts individually, or most of those parts, or starting with one part and then going with another part and then with the third and the fourth, that is how you will be able to crack the entire puzzle. And if somebody is in a non-marketing field, getting into a brand management role is definitely very, very difficult. In that case, pick up some role which is closer to that. That role could be a sales role, or that role could be the role of category management in a company, or say that role could be sales strategy, or that role could be customer research, all of those things, right? So if you have some level of hold on any of the roles which are close to the role of brand management, and in any case you're showcasing some traits or some instances where you're actually doing something which is relating to the brand management role, then you can say that yes, you're going towards it, but it will all happen in at one step at a time. um, Going from any role that you are to a brand management role all of a sudden is not something that is very easy. Might happen, might not happen, but if it is not happening, what I just told you should give you some comfort.
Definitely, the non-marketing students might have got some relief by what you have just said, for sure. And obviously, marketing students have got a bit clarity, like what they want to and how to go about in the career. So, when it comes to recruiters, according to you, what are the three main important things that a recruiter looks for when hiring a brand manager?
Uh, See, when you look at the recruitment process, every recruitment not always, say 80 to 90% of the time starts with a recruiter, a pure play, recruiter, who is not from a core marketing background, looking at a set of resumes or set of CVs and then shortlisting. Okay, so you need to first pass that test.
Hmm.
To pass that test would be the biggest challenge. Why? Because they go by preset notions or preconceived notions that if there is someone who is not in a marketing role or not in a B2C role, will not be able to make a good fit. How do you bridge that? To be able to bridge that, I would say use your contacts, use your networking skills. Make sure that if you have somebody who is working in one of the companies that you would want to go to is referring you. And in that same resume, make sure that you're highlighting, you're actually storytelling all of your achievements, and all those points where you have actually had a chance to do some roles which relate to the role of brand manager, as I was just mentioning in the previous answer. Uh, Make sure that your resume is really, really good. It's really, really strong. There's very good storytelling behind it, which will actually convince someone that yes, if this person hasn't been in a core marketing role, even then this person can actually be a great brand manager or a great marketing professional. That is the first thing. Second thing is, how do you plan where you want to insert your resumes? Naukri and all of these portals, job finding portals are something that definitely you should try out. If you have something like a acceleration pack, so all of these major job finding tools also have some paid packs where you can accelerate your job search by you taking up a resume highlighting service or so on and so forth. Make sure if you are able to afford, definitely go for it. The way I understand it, it is something which you're investing in your future after all. So you shouldn't shy away from that. Do spend your time, do spend your money on that. And then again, make sure that your resumes are getting referred through people, okay, through trusted people who, if they can nice word about you, that will be even better. All of those things should be leveraged. And then again, if you happen to get shortlisted, which I'm sure, I mean, many of the people who are going to watch this podcast will eventually, especially in a market as hot as today's, where there is a lot of where there are a lot of startups which are coming up, and all of them would want marketing professionals, right? Okay, so once you've cleared that first or second stage, then comes the stage of your interviews. Right? So the first interview typically is an eliminating round in most companies. You can make sure that what you want to project about yourself, which will not make you get eliminated, that is projected well. Which means to say that you should know about the role that you're going into, which shows that you're prepared. You should very well know what you have done, and you should put it really in a nice frame, it really well, so that it comes across as, yes, this person, although isn't in a marketing role, has a marketing acumen. Someone really told something really good to me once in my job search phase. days. This gentleman told me that if you are interviewing to somebody, and if somebody keeps on asking you about your role, and if you feel that you're not doing the best job by showing in showcasing that you are very much a marketing personnel, you can tell that what you believe in the suppose you're interviewing for company A. You can just tell that, yes, hey, you know what, we have done something in our company, which I think will also make great sense in company A, because hey, your target group is this, the kind of objectives that you are chasing is this. So I would be great, very, very happy to bring in this sort of experience which I have gained working in my past company, be it experience with data, be it experience with storytelling, be it experience with sales. I'll be very, very glad to bring it on board for your company, because I understand that your company needs these things or has these priorities, which is showcasing that, hey, you have a very strong marketing mentality, and you've spent time analyzing the company, right? That you're trying to get selected for. Things that you should definitely try, but at the same point of time, if you're trying to get recruited for a specific role, understand that what all are the nuances, or what all are the key skill sets, or key traits that are required in that role. In this case of brand management, I've put it very clearly for you. So know what all are the roles that will be a part of making this entire role what it is. And showcase that, yes, you've done something which relates to that. And in case you do not in case you haven't done it, you have tried to gain those skill sets by learning something, a YouTube video or a Udemy, or a stint, a freelance stint, or so on and so forth. And in case there's absolutely something which you do not know, tell that it's an opportunity for me to go out there and learn this particular thing, because this is something that you've been really, really sitting out there for, waiting for. So while you know something, you've learned something else from another source, and there's something which you don't know, which you're ready to pick up. That becomes everything that you want to do.
I think the freshers have a great takeaway from this. Like, they need not be sad, or they got an answer from you. Like, how should they answer about it? So Diptimaya, do you remember how was your experience at Flipkart? If you could just share it with us.
I had 6 to 7. I think I had 7 rounds of interviewing. So the first round, so every company operates differently. I just want to keep it that way first. You did not go through 7 rounds. Be done with 4 or 5 rounds, depending upon what the company's recruitment policies are. But in Flipkart, what happens is you work in a very strong multi-team environment, multidisciplinary environment, right? So I, for instance, at least have handholdings or interfacing with 4 teams, 3 to 4 teams on any given day, right? These are the internal teams. Then there's the external team, which can be 1 or 2 teams easily. So the first round is always with the hiring manager. It's an elimination round. If you're able to crack it, then comes a series of 4 to 5 rounds where you are getting interviewed with all the different stakeholder units. So one stakeholder unit could be the product team, because Flipkart is a very digital first environment, and there are different product teams which know which basically take care of how to build a particular platform, a technological product. Interview with them, interviewing with your immediate manager. So the hiring manager might be a skip manager, or 2 levels upper than you, higher than you are, but there needs to be one interview, a second follow-up interview with your immediate hiring manager, right? So with your immediate hiring manager, an interview with the product team, and interview with the category team, because Flipkart has these different categories. Say one category is fashion, then there's another category which is electronics, mobiles. That is how the entire Flipkart marketplace is actually built up. So if you are doing some work within Flipkart, you need to have a good understanding of each category, or you need to show some orientation that you understand the categories, business, and what exactly that category peculiarities are. It's a check of that. So you have to have one interview with that category team, at least one category team. Then you will have an interview with perhaps an operations team, because when you are a very revenue centric role, or in any strategy role, you need to understand the operational activities as well, right? So there could be a different operations team that is interviewing you. Then of course there will be an round, right? So I mean, these are multiple rounds which happen, and finally there will be a really head of the unit. So if you are reporting to a director, the person who would interview with you last would be the uh, vice president, or the senior vice president, who is the head, who is heading the entire business unit. So I remember it really well. My first round was actually, so I'll tell you, I mean, I the broader domain, within the domain of e-commerce advertising, right? So just before the interview, the night previous to that, I actually happened to go through something related to Amazon ads, which is something which has been in existence for a longer duration than Flipkart ads. But yeah, Amazon ads was the de facto advertising opportunity for on e-commerce as platform. I was going through some of that, and then and Flipkart's HR actually works in a very quick, agile way. And all of a sudden, I get a call, and the recruiter asks me that he does an interview, which is being set up for tomorrow. Are you willing to take it tomorrow? I said, hell yeah, yes, definitely. I sat down for that interview, and I basically am fresh with the concepts of Amazon ads. And of course, I have my own, understanding of media planning, marketing, so on and so forth, and I'm able to bring all of it together. So to be able to, so one of the things that you need to be having within your kitty to crack these interviews for Flipkart, any of these, is a very good understanding of the no, not for the supply chain ones, but for all the marketing and revenue driving functions, is to have a very good understanding of the customer marketing funnel, or the customer acquisition funnel, which starts with building awareness, then building familiarity, then building consideration, then building conversion. So if you're able to, live the customer acquisition funnel, if you're able to talk along the customer acquisition funnel, nothing like it. I think most of the things you can easily put into place if you are able to, relate to it very, very well. So I'll come to a tip which I want to deliver to all of your audiences, which will be after this. But yes, I was able to combine all of those thoughts of what I am doing in my previous role. Then I was able to talk in terms of the customer acquisition funnel, because I had been breathing the customer acquisition funnel literally over the last 5 to 6 months, because of certain projects that I've had taken up aside of my day job. So yes, I was able to combine all of it, and that definitely had a very positive bearing on the interview.
Okay, this was, I think, very, very informative for the audience. So lastly, what advice, or as you mentioned, tips for the upcoming brand managers?
Okay, so I'll be a little philosophical to start off, but then I'll come back to the really practical points. Breathe your customers. I mean, if you are if you are an aspiring brand marketer, or a media a media professional, or a media planner, or a brand solutions expert, if you want to do any of these roles, I'll say that observe really well, because that will help you understand how people react. Think, because it will help you able to put all of your observations into multiple channels. For instance, there could be one customer like Pranali, there could be one customer like say any hypothetical name Rakesh, there could be a hypothetical customer like Shefali, Vinay, anyone. Each of those customers can belong to a different demography, right? So just think of how different people will react to it. I'll come to the specific, points, but I believe a change of lifestyle is something that should definitely be encouraged to get into any role that you want to. If you go to any store today, you might go to a store like a Miniso, or you might go to a store like a Pantaloons, or you might go to a store like a Walmart, or so on and so forth. Look at the different products which are on display. There could be a private label, there could be a branded product label. Uh, just see wear your marketing hat and think, do you think that this price is justified for all the customer segments that this brand is actually trying to go after? Debate, think it out in your mind, have a discussion on this with your friends. Analyze a little bit of that. Look at advertising. Look at advertisements. Try to decode what exactly is the marketer trying to tell you, right? If somebody tells you that my soap is 7x faster than or my toothpaste is faster than all of yours, which means to say that the marketer is basically saying that, hey, we know there are so many toothpaste brands available, but buy us because we will help you reduce the time that you need to take to brush your teeth. As simple as that. While trying to say that we are faster, they're basically telling you that, hey, we can help you save time here, so you can go about starting your day faster than you would have. So try to understand those kind of things. So it's called a very marketing mentality. Try to develop that, because if you develop this now, when you're doing your normal job, right? When you're doing a normal job, say you are doing a consulting activity, or say you're doing a sales activity, you will have you'll have the tendency to put all of those actions through this sort of a analytical framework in your mind itself, which will make sure that when you're delivering some presentation or when you're delivering some form of communication, it is very close to what your customer would want to have. So it will help you excel in your present job, and it will help you develop a broader marketing mentality, which will help you throughout your career when you're trying to switch from one job to another marketing job, and then do that job really, really well, and then go ahead, do something else in your life. Okay, that was the philosophical part of it. Now coming to the specific parts of it. Look at the marketing customer funnel, or the marketing funnel, or the customer acquisition funnel really, really well. So I would suggest that you can do freelancing, some sort of freelancing, or take up some projects. For B school students, I would suggest that take up some say winter projects or summer projects, whatever it is. Use the marketing funnel always and always to look at how you can help you, if you're consulting, how you can help the brand hiring you to build their business, or build their brand. Use that as a medium through which you are thinking. So for instance, when you are when you are a strategist, you're looking at 10,000 ideas or 100 ideas. So going from one step to the other would require a funnel framework. If 100 things are on your table, you will consider 50 things. After those 50 things, you will boil down to 2 or 3 things. So make the marketing funnel, or the customer acquisition funnel, or the funnel itself. It's called the funnel framework. Make it very, very close to your life, or close to how you go about with your day-to-day job. And then again, take up these different courses which are available on Udemy, or which are available on Coursera, or all of those things. If there are certain brand management courses, or if there are certain communication strategy courses, or a digital marketing course, that will help you uncover or unravel before you're trying to sit for that other interview, right? So which will mean that as individuals, you might have to spend some time um, away from fun during the weekends. Trust me, it happens with all of us, but I think that's a little bit of a sacrifice which anybody would be interested to make. Yes, and don't be discouraged, because that job switch might not happen as soon as possible as you would have planned, but it will happen in small pieces, small segments, one at a time. I hope
Indeed.
I'm making some clarity. If you
Yeah,
would need some other, specific pointers, do let me know. But that is what I would suggest.
no. I would definitely say that the audience has definitely taken good takeaways from the session today. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, Diptimay. It was really great having you. And I'm very much sure that the audience has liked it really too.
great. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you so much, Diptimay. Thank you all for watching.